Hey, so what's up everybody, and welcome to another video from the thrift store prepper, brought to you by Ship Video Productions. And that's right, we've got another video today that probably no one's going to watch, or if they do, they're probably not going to be very interested in it or have much interesting or nice comments to say. But today we've got another unbagging, and it's another Sensi 20 unbagging, and this time I just got myself back from the no frills, and I've got a $20 bag worth of groceries to add to the pantry. So without any further ado, let's see what we've got inside. Oh dear. So it's another Dollarama bag, but I can assure you it is from the no frills, and I do buy these bags. They're pretty handy to roll up and keep in your everyday sort of carrying bag, or whatever your purse or backpack you have. You can roll one of these up, and if you need to pick up some groceries, you've got yourself a pretty decent container. And so we're just knocking our lucky ramen noodle. I don't know if you called in the last video, but that's the kind of last packet of the 12 pack of ramen that I started out with before this project began, and I've kind of hung it up there for sentimental values. So this isn't about the lucky ramen, this is about the 20 bag unbagging. So let's move this to the side. So let's just show you, that is a very heavy bag, and it's even shorted out our lighting source. So bear with me a second, let's see what happened there. There we, oh good grief. My apologies for that. Some technical difficulties with our lighting source here at the thrift store prep. And as you say, we are operating on an extremely tight budget, and with things we find lying around the house or the basement that can be used. In this case, I'm using a spotlight that has a bit of a dodgy plug in. If you sneeze or fart too loud, it will take the plug out of the socket. So let's try to remain as still as possible and keep our lighting source intact while we look at the products in the bag. So I'm just going to put this on the floor because it is a very heavy bag. I don't know if you can hear that. So let's explain a little bit more before we go into the unbagging what a Sensi 20 is. It's something I come up with a little while ago. I don't know if it's catchy or not, but in this day and age of acronyms and abbreviations, sensi is short for sensible, and this is a sensible 20 top-up. And by that, I've only sort of purchased products that have bang for their buck, and that's going to be either they contain vitamins, minerals, or other nutrients that the body needs to survive. And kind of, if we are buying these things for emergency items, and that is the only food source that has, then it's a little bit important to make sure that we're getting our daily requirements in the things that we do have, rather than purchasing things en masse that may fill us up, but they're actually not going to give us any nutrition. So that's a little bit what I'm trying to do, and I'm also trying to kind of concentrate more on items that really require little to no fuss to either store. By that I mean they don't need any excessive additional or excessive baggaging or packaging to contain it. For example, many people who buy rice, they buy a plastic bucket or mylar bags to store it in, and that just adds to the cost. Things I try to look for are canned items and our good old friend ramen noodle, because they are eat and go items and things that really require little to no preparation. So today's items are all canned. There's no dry products, and I'm also going to let you know there's no ramen. That's right, we've got an unbagging for the first time that contains no ramen from the no frills. So no further ado, the first item we've got are whole potatoes. Now I've got a few cans of these, if I can find the rest of them, although you don't really need to see the other cans. I can assure you they are identical. But potatoes again, and when we talk about bang for your buck, let's see if we can pick up there. I don't know if that's clear or not, or you can see, but you can see we've got lots and lots of numbers over there and not too many zeros. So potatoes, they kind of are a bit of a superfood, so that's why I've got them. And in this instance, I've got whole potatoes. I've got 4 cans of those. If I can find the other 2, there's the other one. And just so you know that I'm not lying, there's the 4th one. So this has given us 4 cans of potatoes, and that's going to give us a lot of nutrients and daily requirements in just one serving. You know, there's much you can do with potatoes. You can put them in a stew, you can kind of mash these up if you needed to, and lots and lots of things you can do with them. And you know, they do fill you up. They are a starch, they're a carb, you got protein, you get potassium, you get calcium, iron. Can't really go wrong with your potatoes. And you know, certainly if I had potatoes or rice to choose from, I would be picking potatoes all the time. And you know, if you are able to grow your own crops or some fruits and veggies of your own in the backyard, I would certainly suggest potatoes would be the first thing that you should plant, more so than tomatoes and stuff like this, because they do pack a punch. So moving on, the next item I got was some chickpeas. Now, if I find the other can, I think I got 2 cans of chickpeas. And again, these are a product that contain a lot of iron, we get a lot of fiber, we get a lot of protein. So there is some sodium and some fat in these. There are a few zeros on there, but that's okay. You know, if we mix some chickpeas with some potatoes, we're getting a pretty decent balanced meal, although not a very exciting one. I don't think potatoes and chickpeas would be particularly appetizing. And I'm getting a little OCD here, so you can see all the front of the cans. Let's just pretend we've got our own little no frills going on in my basement. So there you go. And something else you can see, these are the yellow label, no name brands. These are the cheapest items that you can buy in your no frills. I don't buy brand names often unless they are on offer. And part of the reason is that, you know, this may be an emergency food source that we may or may not use. So why spend over the odds when there's a good chance we might not eat it, or at some point we may just end up donating it to food banks or friends that may be struggling. Who knows, you know, but cans have a pretty decent lifespan. So, you know, we can kind of put these in our pantry and forget about them for a while. And even if they do expire, who knows, you may have a year or two beyond the expiry that they are still edible. So again, we got chickpeas, which provide us quite a lot of our needs. Something else, more beans. So you know, people do say the rice and the beans, and again, we're getting a lot of numbers on here, and not too many zeros, although there's no vitamin A or vitamin C in this, but we're getting calcium, iron, protein, again, sugars, carbs, and some fat. So we got some black beans. I think I got 2 cans of those. If I can find the other can. Yes, there you go. So you're seeing a little bit of a theme. We are going for beans, and we've got potatoes. These are kind of starchy, bulky items that, you know, you can use multiple ways. We can use beans on their own. You can make them in a stew or a soup. And the same things with the potatoes. You can put those into stew, soup, or, you know, if you had some mayonnaise or some other kind of, you know, ranch dressing, you could maybe mash these up, mix some of that in, and make yourself a little potato salad if need be. And the other thing with these, they also come with water. I believe it's salted water, so you might not be able to drink it, but you can actually use the water inside as your water to cook in. So again, like pastas and rice that require water, these are already coming with their own water source. And you know, you have a little fire, you can just open the can a little bit and chuck the can in the fire, and eventually it will heat. So you've got your own cooking container, you've got your own water source, and you've got your own food all in one item. And that's what we're trying to teach and educate people a little bit, that when you're buying things, try to buy sensible things. Just don't go out and buy the things that you see other people buy. Think about it and look at how you can get things that have multiple uses, or in this case, you know, we're getting bang for our buck because we're getting all the nutrients, we're getting a food item inside, we're getting a container and a water source. So that's three pluses on the box over items in cans. So the other item I got was, I think we've already got some of these, you may have seen them, is a mixed bean salad. And again, I have 2 of those. Now, this, I believe, was $1.17 or $1.20 something. I can't remember. It was around about that. I may have the receipt somewhere if I look inside. And I do. Let me just check. So, yep, the potatoes were $1.17 a can, and the mixed bean salad, if I can see this on here, was $1.29. So $1.30 for these and $1.17 for those, but these were all 87 cents. So if you offset some of the things, they're kind of around $1 a can, give or take. But you know, we're not really keeping strict and stringent rules to how much we spend. So those are some of the items we've got, and we still have not finished. So some other items we've got are pinto beans, and they're refried pinto beans. And again, we've got, let's try and get the numbers in on here for anyone who is interested. If you can see that, let me know in the comments below. Well, you know, you don't have to. I'm not forcing you to do anything you don't want to. And, you know, that goes for hitting the bell icon for notifications when I post new videos, or subscribing, or even just giving it the thumbs up and like. Those are all things that are perfectly voluntary, and I'm not going to force you to do. If you do that on your own free will, cool. If you don't, that's cool. If you want to share this to your social media and tell your friends how great it is, that's cool too. And you know, if you just want to say how rubbish it is and give me some stick and cringe factor, then that's cool too. It's entirely up to you. But again, we've got our refried beans. Let's get back to the video. And again, it's another, we're getting a lot of things in here, some fibers, we're getting some iron, we're getting a lot of protein, hell of a lot of sodium. Actually, that's pretty bad, but you know, we wouldn't need to necessarily add salt to this. But the reason I've got refried beans is it's something a little bit different to the regular beans. It's something that you could maybe just spread on crackers or crisp breads or things like that. But something else you need to realize is this is kind of a little bit like tomato concentrate, the tomato puree concentrate, which is, you know, you put a spoonful into some water and you add some water and you get tomato based soup or broth, for that one of a better word. But same thing here. If you were to take, you know, a good spoonful of this out, let's say we took a cup of this, which is 250 mils, and then you added 500 mil of water and mixed it up, you would get yourself a bean soup or a bean broth that would contain quite a lot of your requirements for a daily meal. And certainly if you were to add other things like your potatoes, chickpeas, or your mixed bean salads to your bean broth, then you really are going to be packing a punch in your nutrients that you're getting into your system. So I picked up another 2 cans of those, and I think they were actually quite expensive. They were about $1.87. And again, kind of really why I bought those was to kind of tell you, you know, you can use these for more things than just eating with your Mexican food, or your, you know, huevos rancheros at the weekend, if you like to brunch at such places that sell those things. So that's pretty much what we got. Oh wait, no, there's another can of refried beans. And the last items I did get, and these were $1, I think, just to make it up to the $20 mark, were these little cans of Mexican salsa sauce. Now, again, you know, these were $1 each, and why I've got these is you can use these as a base for some kind of stew. These are not necessarily things that you're going to eat on, but if you have your potatoes, your chickpeas, your beans, stuff like this, then if you were making a stew, then this would be kind of like your flavor ingredient, and just give it a little bit more than the bland water that you may boil in it. And you know, we've got some stuff in here as well. We've got a little bit of iron, and let's have a look. Yeah, that's about it. Iron and some vitamin C. So not necessarily a great item, but this is something that I'm kind of considering as a condiment rather than a source of food, or something that we are going to add to our food source to give it a little bit more flavor, or in this case, a added dose of vitamin C. So that's everything I got for around $20. Now, I did actually buy some other items that I'm not going to show you here right now because they are for an ingredient, but for a recipe. So they are ingredients for a recipe. Let me speak proper and not like a retard. Jesus, you'd think I'd get used to this by now. But the total cost was $25, but the items that I kind of needed for the recipe I'm going to be making a video of very shortly were around $4 and change. So this is what $20 will get you. If I can just pan out a little bit there, let's put one down because that's coming out of sight. So, you know, what have we got? 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. So there's 13, 14, 15. You can't really count these as cans, but there's 13 cans for $20 now. If we base ourselves on the 1 can a day rule, this gives you 2 weeks food source. And obviously, if you were just wanted to eat 1 can a day to get your it's not necessarily healthy, but 1 can a day is better than no cans a day in any situation. I think most people would agree with that. But this gives you roughly 2 weeks worth of food. I mean, extreme circumstances, 2 weeks of food, but it gives you quite a lot of things that you are going to need in your body. That's going to be better than just having rice or pasta and these kind of empty calories or starchy fillers. So that's just another Sensi 20 from the No Frills. Now, you lucky people who have watched this video, it's not actually over there. Many would think, well, we've seen everything that's in the bag. What else could you possibly have to show or tell us? Well, I'm going to tell you what we've got. We've got a cheeky Dollarama $10 unbagging. So let's just move our beans to the side. And as I said, this was a ramen-free unbagging from the Dollarama, and that's a very rare thing that we don't often see in the thrift store prepper. We always do tend to get ramen noodles. And as we did go to the No Frills, which is next to the Dollarama, I thought, you know what, let's do a little cheeky $10 top up while we're here. And see what we can get for $10. And here's where you're not going to be disappointed. Just when you thought there was going to be a video with none of them, here we go, ramen noodles. There you go. If any fans of ramen out there are smiling now, good on you. So we got 15 packs of ramen, and that cost us $3. If I can get the rest out, there you go. So supplementing the $10 top up with the $20 top up, that's $30 spent. So if we combine our ramen alongside our 1 can a day, there we go. That's giving us a little bit more substantiability. And as you know, I don't need to tell you anything about ramen that you don't know already if you have been subscribing and following to this channel. And the other items that I did get were these. Now let's move the ramen out the way, and I got 3 bags of these Betty Crocker mashed potatoes. Now I did pick up a box of these, I think, in the Holiday Hyundai unbagging. If anybody did bother to watch that, I doubt you did. It only got 6 views, so I think 3 of those were my backup accounts just to get some views on the board. So here we go. We got butter and herb mashed potatoes, and these are the powdered form. And again, you're going to be getting quite a lot of numbers on there, but not as many as the canned potatoes. But this is also multi-purpose. Again, you can just mix a little bit of water with it and you have mashed potatoes. You can sprinkle some in with your ramen broth if you're just making a soup ramen, and that's going to add a little bit more of a thickness and kind of give you a potato-based soup rather than just a broth-based soup. And, obviously it's going to fill you up a little bit more. And these were $2 a piece, and there's 2 in each. So there's another, if you had a pouch a day, another 6 days worth of food on top of your 15 ramen noodles. And that cost you all, let's pile everything up there. Let's see if we come out a little bit using the camera. There you can see the spotlight. That's the thing that's been giving us some problems, but there you go. You can see how amateur we are. So all that food there cost $30, and the ramen may be a little bit of an empty source of carb, but pretty much everything else that is in this is pretty, I don't know if I can say healthy because it is canned food, but it's not the worst thing you can be putting yourself in, putting into your body if you are hungry and you've got nothing else to eat. And if somebody was going out and wanting to start themselves their little prepper pantry and they never had before, if you spent $30 on these exact items, that's a pretty good place to start, and I think for $30 that gives you, a very, very sparse food supply, but a food supply for maybe 2 weeks easily. And certainly with these items, that's going to just kind of be filler. And again, we can add this to stews that we're making. If you added a half a pack of this with some refried beans and made a soup and a potato and bean soup, there's something, this gonna tick a lot of boxes on your requirements. And I may be repeating myself over and over in this video and may not be making a lot of sense to most people, but in my head I'm making perfect sense. And I don't really have any true qualifications or expertise in this stuff. I am a cook. I have a little bit of understanding of nutritional values, not necessarily a nutritionist. I am somebody who does tend to survive on a minimal or minimalistic lifestyle, so to speak. And I think that's something that should be maybe enforced into prepper pantries, that rather than going out for vast varieties of things that may not necessarily give you an awful lot bang for your buck, items like canned fruits, for example, they may have quite a lot of vitamin C or vitamin A in them, but they really don't give you much else. Obviously these things are important to get into your diet, but you could get these through vitamin pills or vitamin supplements other ways. And that's why we're looking at the items that we have here is ways to get bang for your buck and put a lot of nutrients into the system in an emergency situation. And remember, if you are living off of this food to survive and this is all you've got, then certainly you're not going to be doing that badly in any doomsday shit hitting the fan type scenario should that happen. And again, if you're just putting together $30 worth of groceries to get you through the next 2 weeks, to get you from payday to payday, then certainly this is going to be a lot of food to put in your hamper, and it's going to give you at least 1, maybe 2 meals a day if you really needed to. So nothing really very exciting or to get carried away with, or nothing really to write home about, but that's a Sensi 20 top up, and we had a cheeky $10 Dollarama bonus top up to add into it. So all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, that's cool, but thanks for watching. As always, it's a shit video production for the Thrift Store Prepper. Take it easy, and we'll catch you next time.